Okay, I thought I'd demo the amps that I use for my demos and covers. Um, I actually use two different amps with the band. With the band I use a hand-wired super lead and an orange AD30 twin channel head into either either both of them into a open back orange 2x12 cab that I had wired stereo, so each head can go through one speaker each, um, or the orange will go through its own cab on its own, and then the Marshall will have its own 4x12. Anyway, I've got these two at home, away from our lookup. Oh, there's my hand. Hello. Uh, these two I keep here. It's the Vintage Modern and the Silver Jubilee. They've both got their own matching 4x12 cabs, as you can see here and here. So I'll show you how they sound. I'll show you how I have them set, and then I'll show you, obviously, what other sounds you can get out of them. So I'll start with the Vintage Modern on its own. Turn the Jubilee off, because what you'll be hearing is the two heads together, but as a mono track, the way that I'm recording, just the two mics going straight into an interface into my Mac, and I'm just recording everything in iMovie, so I can't figure out a way to edit the audio and sync it back up with the video, so I've just been keeping it as it's recorded, really, not doing anything to it, no panning or anything. So here's the Vintage Modern, no effects on, just through the pedal board, but everything bypassed. On the low dynamic range, the mid boost is in. The master volume is on 3. Presence is on 5. Bass is on 6. Mid's on 6. Treble's on 6.5. The detail, which is sort of like the input gain, but the sort of trebly input gain, almost like the high treble channel on a 4 input Marshall. That's on 6, and then body, which is a really bassy input gain, is on, let's give it a 5.5. So 5.5 and 6 the gains are on, and it just sounds like a really great chunky clean tone. It cleans up nicely. So with the bridge pickup, if you really dig in, it really breaks up, and it's really choppy. If I was to unclick the mid boost, that tends to clean it up a lot more. It also gets really bright with the Strat. It's probably more suited to guitars with humbuckers like Les Pauls with the mid boost out, because I find it can be a little bit thin and harsh. I'll show you the same settings on the guitar, but with the mid boost off. I'm not even giving you any more of that. It sounds awful and it's hurting. So we'll keep the mid boost in, and then obviously on the high dynamic range, it just basically puts an extra preamp tube into the mix, and you get much more gain. So I'll flick it onto that, and it sounds like this. You can also get low dynamic range sounds with the high dynamic range just by turning the volume down on the guitar a little bit. So full whack, and then I'll turn it down a bit. I don't tend to do that just because, obviously, with it being higher gain, you get a little bit of white noise, which really annoys me. So yeah, that's the vintage modern. It's a wicked amp. It's incredibly loud. As I said, I've only got the master volume on 3, and it's hurting sat right in front of it. So let's go over to the Jubilee. Yeah, it's got a problem with it. It needs a little bit of a service. It does that every time you turn it off standby for some reason. So obviously this is an old one. This is from 1987. Presence on 5, bass is on 9, the middle's on 6, treble's on 4. Got the master volume on 5, and then the input gain is just kind of in its pushed in position, which is the clean channel, but the gain's on full, so that knob's on 10. And it doesn't sound that different to the vintage modern, other than it's not got the same kind of sparkle that the vintage one has. This is still crunchy, a little bit crunchy. It's not very loud because I've only got the volume on half, and it's on the low wattage, so I've switched it to 50 watts. So it breaks up more at lower volume, which is good. It's just a bit darker. Sorry, I was on the neck pickup then. I'll change to the bridge so you can hear good comparison to the vintage modern. The next cool thing that you can do on this amp is pull the input gain knob out. And that basically engages the rhythm like clip mode. I don't really know how it works or what it actually does, but it's basically like a crunch channel. I can probably turn it up a bit actually. I don't think we're pushing it. This amp is actually very bright with single coils. Yeah, let's give it a go on the lead channel now. For that, you just have to push in the master volume knob, and that just boosts the gain even more. Okay, so back to how I had it originally, which is input gain pushed in and the gain on full. Ooh, crikey, that's loud. There is something very wrong with this amp. The output master as well. As I turn it, there's something wrong with it because it kind of takes all the bass out of it until you have to jiggle it around a bit. Your tone comes back. I think it's gone at the moment. There we go. If anyone knows how I can solve that, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll take it to a technician or something. Anyway, so yeah, so that's that, and then we put this one on as well. And we listen how amazing it sounds with them both together. I don't know if it sounds as good on the recording, but it certainly sounds good sat here. Hello. So yeah, I guess the other thing you can do is obviously set the 2 amps drastically different. There's my hand again. Hello. Set the 2 amps drastically different so that when they're mixed like in stereo, you've got a really big sound. I can't really demonstrate that because of the way that I'm recording. But we can see what it sounds like. I'll put the vintage modern onto the high dynamic range mode and keep the Jubilee clean so that we've got a bit of half and half going on. Vintage modern seems to have got a lot louder now. Turn that down to 2. Thank you.